a drug product. Drug product is not merely, a collection of API. It's API or multiple APIs along with various low and high functionality excipients. High functionality excipients may be release controlling polymers, maybe surface active agents, maybe lipids, emulsions, and also various kinds of manufacturing and related processes, which are accounting for that product to be finally taking the shape. And there may be some low functionality excipients like disintegrants, like lubricants, etc. So each one is contributing towards the drug delivery or drug product performance in their own characteristic manner. So, and there could be two kinds of uh, drug products. Everybody knows about it. It could be branded ones or it could be generic ones. A branded one has a definite, name, trade name assigned to it, which is, patented one, and it holds good for the company which has the patent, which has the innovator's credit for the same. Although this is little expensive, but a lot of R&D work has already been carried out on the branded work. And a generic product is considered to be, is assumed to be, a pharmaceutical clone product of the reference listed product or the innovator's product. And it has to be identical to the reference listed product in strength, in route of intake, in intended use, in quality, and most importantly in its access to the systemic circulation, that's bioavailability. A lot of emphasis has been put on across the world on this switchover from the branded product to generic product, primarily to reduce the healthcare cost. And President Barack Obama, the former US president, was very vehemently, persuasive to switch over to generic products to reduce the healthcare cost in the US and across the world as well. So, in this regard, India is considered to be the pharmacy capital of the entire world, and it's a manufacturing hub for most of the countries, as everyone knows. And in this lockdown era, the 2021, so we have once again reiterated our position as the pharmacy capital, and we have had the head of the average Indian high across the world by the rest of the world getting dependent upon Indian pharma, maybe through the usage of simple drugs like hydroxychloroquine, paracetamol, or that of the vaccines. So around 40% of the generic needs in the US alone are met with from India. Every third drug master file filed across the US is from India. Every third pill taken across the world is from India. You should feel on top of the world, looking into the achievements of the pharma world of India. And US dollar 1.6 trillion market is, in India, the pharma market. This is the statistics of the last year. It might have grown further, and which is growing still at a phenomenally high, growth rate of 15 to 20% of cumulative annual growth rate. Now, if we make a humble comparison but in a lighter vein, consider the reference product as the elephant, black elephant on the left hand side, and look at the generic solution provided by the pharma company, which is on the right hand side. And now, if we tend to, compare the individualistic trends, so you see the right hand side, product is, has have all of these similar traits. Has one trunk, which the reference listed product, that's the elephant, has got. Have four legs. It has four legs being demonstrated, and it should carry load of passengers as well cargo. So the guy is demonstrating that the generic product which he's offering is able to carry load of both passenger and cargo. It's black in color, and the generic product is jet black in color. It should be herbivorous and is herbivorous. And the generic product has got another advantage. It gives milk too. Lest it may happen, let's find out that the generic products should not be comparable in the individualistic traits, but should be in the overall performance of the product. So overall product performance, product characteristics should be comparable, not the individualistic traits, as this slide has demonstrated. So a drug delivery system on that account may be of possibly three kinds. Although this slide tends to differentiate these between temporal and spatial, but of late in the last 15, 20 years, another class has of drug delivery systems has emerged as very popular class, that's bio-enhanced system. So a drug delivery systems could be temporal, where the time has been tempered, controlled release, prolonged release, or fast release, or where the target has been tempered, that's targeted drug release systems, which are also called as spatial drug delivery systems. And the third is bio-enhanced system, where the bioavailability of the drug delivery system is enhanced. And there are so many nanostructured systems. So having been the honorary founder coordinator of the National UGC Center for Excellence in Nanobiomedical Applications for more than a decade, so I and my research team have have had the opportunity of handling diverse kinds of nanostructured drug delivery systems, including SNEDs, SLNs, NLCs, nanomicelles, nanoliposomes, nanolipopolyplexes, quantum dots, dendrimers, graphenes, CNTs, fullerenes, and many more, to the best advantage of the drug delivery scientists. Be it a nanostructured system or a novel drug delivery system or a generic or the reference-listed product, every product has to go through a series of processes till it gets the final form. Say this slide tells, the sojourn from the yellow-colored raw material to the finished product, that's the coated, imprinted white tablets. So first it is getting granulated, then wet milled, there's levigation, then dried, and then dry milled, and then mixed using tumble mixture over here, then compressed using rotary tablet compression machine, then coated using axilla coata, and then imprinted to get the final form. Now each of such processes is marked with the possibility of variation. So the overall product quality is dependent upon so many possible variables. From management perspective point of view, such variabilities are always are discerned in the form of a cause and effect Ishikawa fishbone diagram. So cause and effect Ishikawa fishbone diagram, is shown over here, where various possible M's, men, that's the people who tend to operate or tend to carry out research towards product quality, materials, raw materials, finished products, excipients, etc., machines, the manufacturing and analyzing the equipment, measurement devices, and measurement policies, and the milieu, that's the environment of the pharma company, and the management policies all tend to lead toward product quality, variabilities. And this variability is splittable into various possible variabilities. Continuing from the previous slide, it could be the variability in API, variability in various excipients, variability in the processes, variability in the packaging, and these so many possibilities of interactions. API with API, API with excipient 1 with excipient 2, excipient 1 with excipient N, and then excipients with processes, API with processes, API with packaging, excipients with packaging, process with packaging. So many possible permutations and combinations of the interactions happening between two or more than two variables. That's simply called as interactions. And the sum total of the product variability is the variability due to API, excipients, processes, packaging, and the interactions. Most important, it is the interactions. So this may happen. I keep showing this, jovial slide. You see the female zebra, you see the male donkey, and you see the offspring. Very interesting, zonkey or dongra, whatever you may call. This is out of uh, a picture of Australian zoo. So lest, my dear friends, this may happen. Optimization of the processes is appropriate, is absolutely appropriate. So optimization of drug products is also considered to be mandatory, uh, and likewise for drug delivery systems. Now, question arises: is optimization of drug delivery systems or drug products a new phenomenon? Absolutely no. The whole pharma world had been used to optimizing drug delivery formulations, but the approach had been half-baked. It's called as one variable at a time, one factor at a time, or charging one single variable at a time. That's cost, OVAT, OFAT, or cost. This technique has been having numerous disadvantages. It's involving hard labor, strenuous, arduous. It's not economical as far as money is concerned. It's not economical as far as time is concerned. It's not suitable to find errors. It's not suitable to plug errors. If you cannot diagnose a problem, you cannot treat a problem. So it's not suitable to diagnose or treat a problem. It results only in just okay kind of solutions, and detailed studies of all variables is not possible. So uh, these are some of the important uh, disadvantages I have highlighted amongst the possible so many. So it's just like groping in the dark and commenting upon a big animal by a group of blind people. The blind, it's a famous old adage of blind men and elephant theory. So the one who's feeling the tail part of it, oh, yeah, I have found it's like a rope, it's like a snake. The one who's feeling the ivory part of the rope, I have found it's like a spear, it's like a spear, it's like a bhala. The one who's feeling the leg part, it's like the tree trunk. The one who's feeling the trunk, it says it's like a python. So everybody has different notions, but the animal remains unexplained before them because they are unable to see the animal per se, but they are able to see only one part of it, and they are trying to explain the entire animal by looking at one part of it. So that's how there had been so many product failures and the product recalls. Look at the skyrocketing number of recalls, although the scenario is not updated. It's a 2017 scenario till 2016. You can see, the number of recalls from the market, US FDA market, has been exponentially increasing, and it was not restricted to only the prescription drugs, which constituted only 50%. It was extended to OTC products, cosmetics, medical devices, and nutraceuticals as well. So my question remains: how can quality of pharma products, just we have discussed not only the prescription products, non-prescription, cosmetic, and nutraceutical products as well, be assured? So the obvious answer is by reducing this variability through rational and systematic optimization, not through OFAT or OVAT optimization. Unfortunately, we have had a rational and systematic approach, which is called as the design of experiments, which enabled teams to learn about product or process behavior by running a series of experiments in a systematic way, where the amount of information is maximal, while the experimentation is minimal. I repeat, the information is maximal, while the experimentation is minimal. So, needless to mention, it's a systematized approach. And there are so many advantages. Again, time does not permit me to go into nitty-gritty of all, but I have highlighted a few. It requires much less number of experiments, fewer experiments, and it yields the best solution. The best, I repeat, the solution found out using DOE can never be challenged. It's the best solution, provided we have followed the correct and requisite procedures here. It can trace a problem, diagnose a problem, and can rectify a problem. It leads to comprehensive understanding of the formulation system. This is very important. You have to, in today's world, federal world, you have to carry out product understanding and process understanding, and this cannot happen until unless you carry out studies like DOE, and it can simulate the product or process behavior, and most importantly, it saves a lot of resources, be it effort, experimental effort, be it time, be it the materials, and be it the overall cost from being squandered, by adopting such systematic and modern paradigms here, like DOE. So virtually, it's a bout between OFAT and DOE, as this fat and smart, wrestlers are, you know, um, grappling together. So we carried out in 2005 an exercise on Carbapol ETD 2000 gel of phenoxycam, where we studied the gel in both the ways, that's DOE as well as OFAT. So flux, that's the permeation rate per unit surface area through the human cadaver skin was monitored as an instance, uh, as a function of the gelling polymer and the penetration enhancer. Gelling polymer and penetration enhancer. Gelling polymer uh, was looked into. Flux was made a dependent variable, and gelling polymer as the independent variable, and the maximum concentration was found to be the second one, and we kept that concentration as fixed, and the penetration enhancer concentration was changed, and the fifth point was found to be yielding the maximal concentration, and the point of intersection of these two beads and the bottom gave us the OFAT or OVAT or cost optimum, and the optimum was also found out using DOE, and the black spot, which has been found out simultaneously in the bottom picture, yielded the DOE outcomes. So another way of explaining the same is this is the setting at which factor A is getting optimized, and at that way factor B is getting optimized, and the resultant is the OFAT optimum, while the DOE true optimum is missed altogether. People had been telling so many things about DOE versus OVAT, but most important is Horzak's. He told that dosage form development using the traditional technique of OFAT or OVAT can be characterized as gambling. It can turn into a good formulation. It may usually turn out to be, a second class formulation, because it's like gambling. You may get a head, you may get a tail, you may get a black card, you may get a red card. This scenario got, U-turned in practically 2003, when the Wall Street Journal of USA, very popular magazine over there, shook the entire pharma world. It gave the headlines: the pharmaceutical industry has a little secret. even as it invents futuristic new drugs in a sarcastic manner. It projected its manufacturing techniques lag far behind those of potato chip and laundry soap makers. Just try to imagine, what impact would have it made to entire pharmaceutical industry and regulatory agencies. That, you talk of futuristic drugs, your techniques are lagging far behind that of the potato chip, the nut and board industry, the dental implant, the pizza industries, the oil exploration industry, and potato chips. You know, they are adopting those modern and systematic paradigms like DOE, but we are not. So that was something which was challenging. So US FDA has been constantly pressing to develop today all the generic formulations employing principles of quality by design, QBD, of which DOE is an essential element. So since 2003, FDA was shaken over, and it led to so many quality initiatives by FDA. So many meetings were held. So many, discussions were uh, have been taking place, contemplations and thrashings, and finally, the outcome was the QBD guidelines by ICH, which was later on adopted by US FDA and other federal agencies. So QBD is a systematic approach as per FDA to design product and process to meet the patient needs at desired quality levels without relying upon periodic inspection and testing. This is very important to understand, without relying upon periodic inspection and testing of quality. So Janet Woodcock, gave this. She was the former director of CDR of FDA, and she was there at the helm of the affairs for more than a decade. And she was a very familiar face in the not only in the US but the entire world because of her revolutionary kind of understanding and implementation at the federal level. Uh, since Donald Trump took over, somehow, this dynamic lady was laid off, and she explained pharmaceutical quality is a function of drug substance, that's API, excipients, process, and packaging. I would have appreciated it much better had it been involving the uh, the interactions as well. So quality by design concept was given by Duran, James Duran, the father of QBD. Quality could be planned in the first place to avoid quality crisis. That's what he explained by building quality into the product. So GM Duran, an American scientist who flew to Japan because he was not paid any heed by the US, he led so many pharma companies and other companies, even automobile companies in Japan, to train them on QBD. First company which was uh, following QBD paradigms was not a pharma company. It was an automobile company like Toyota of Japan, led by JM Duran. So when his services were recalled by US FDA, he first declined because of his, being sought after in Japan, but later on because of his patriotic bondage with US, so he got back and he, initiated QBD initiators. Sorry. So QBD is quality by planning, not merely by chance. It's by planning. Quality by design is by designing. Designing means by planning, not merely by chance. So let's try to understand what is quality, what is design, and how does design deliver quality. So quality, as per the dictionary meaning, is building excellence in a trait, while excellence is building quality in a trait. So in other words, quality and excellence are synonyms. My dear friends, quality is always dynamic. What quality specifications are decided today are not going to hold 10 years later. And what quality specifications were held last year are not holding today. So quality is always dynamic. So this is design. Design is the, in day-to-day life also we say that guy, or that politician doesn't have nice designs. Designs means intent. Designs means plans. Designs means the thoughts, you know, the plan, the strategies. So quality by strategy, quality by planning. If it is by planning, it's quality by design. So by requisite planning and execution, merely it is intent. Quality by design over here is not any experimental design. It is the intent. It is the plan. So people had been, while training so many pharma companies, almost all the leading pharma companies of the country and even beyond, that's Canada, Dubai, Taiwan, Bangladesh, etc. So many questions had been asked to me and my team. Why QBD? It looks like it's an edict of the FDA to keep India away. You know? Uh, some people used to tell, QBD is like a program, computer program, who has to be, you know, trained on by the scientists, or in one of the pharma companies, leading pharma companies, number 2 or number 3 in India. It very interestingly, after having 2 days session, the COO, Chief Operating Officer of that company, came over, and he introduced me, and finally, he appreciated me, gave, some mementos and all that, and finally, declared that we are going to make QBD as a standard operating protocol. So, I was feeling like banging my head against wall, because QBD is not like SOP. It's a tailor-made, custom-made kind of paradigm. It's not, the ready-made kind of SOP is a ready-made kind of solution. One, it's implemented. It will be implemented for 1.5. No, QBD has to be designed as per the needs and specifications, as per EPI, as per excipient, as per the reference listed product. You have to look into the target and then follow it up. So it is target specific. It is design specific. It is not, a standard operating protocol which can be implemented just like that. So, my dear friends, after being involved in this paradigm almost since 1994, 28 years, much before FDA declared it an essential paradigm, I have understood that QBD is a mindset, rational mindset to follow the process. It's an amalgamation of scientific principles to lead that mindset, and its adoption of the principles to get that scientific implementation of the mindset. So it's not only mindset, it is involving scientific principles. It's not only scientific principle, it's the adoption of scientific principles to to implement that mindset. So doing it right from the start, it's all about the patients. So it involves understanding patient needs, designing and developing products meeting those patient needs, and designing and developing the manufacturing process to get the products of the choice meeting those patients. So it lets you go even beyond the customer expectations, patient expectations.
Oh, Gargi madam,
It to implement it, I keep asking from industry and
मुझे practical है means give me
please remove this disturbance. Good ROI, return on investment, knowledge sharing gets enhanced, improve time to market. You can launch your product much earlier. The cost gets reduced because the recalls from the market get reduced, the rejects from the market get reduced, overall cost gets improved. People's doubt about generics get reduced because QBD is being implemented. Post-approval changes are minimized and overall cost effectiveness is improved. Not only that, it provides flexibility, what's called as regulatory flexibility to pharmaceutical industry by way of one tool, which is called as design space. So I keep telling industry that it's neither the strongest of the species nor the more intelligent ones, but those who are more responsive to the change will only survive. So I was quite successful in prompting most of the industry to adopt QBD paradigms. Today, India is once again, reiterating its generic position across the world, thanks to the implementation of the QBD paradigms, which are now essential not only in US but in entire Europe, Australia, UK, South Africa, the many of the leading third world countries like Saudi Arabia, etc., China, etc. So it's essential now. So had QBD implementation not been taken place, so we would have been seriously lagging behind. So QBD, is not only meant for the pharmaceutical industry or the patients. It's good for regulatory, agencies and regulatory scientists as well. Look at 2008 filing, 1400 pages. One example, similar kind of filing in 2014 led to the reduction of the pages number almost 5 times because of the implementation of the QBD. So uh, FDA had been prompting the pharma companies by giving various kinds of incentives so that they may implement the rational paradigms of QBD. So it reduces post-approval submission load as well. Earlier, data was rich, using the traditional approach. Now, any kind of information, any piece of information can be retrieved using various computational QBD paradigms. And earlier approach was data rich, information poor, but today the case is reversed. Now this guy is telling, the bottom, we have wait for the government to approve it as an antibiotic for years together, decades together, or do we go ahead right now and sell it as a furniture polish because it's taking undue, advantage. The CMD is asking the management team, please tell the, advice, please endorse the advice to uh, market this liquid product as the furniture polish till the federal agency, approves our product. This is how, the federal agencies have been working across the world, taking undue time. But with the implementation of QBD and proper understanding of QBD at the industry level and at the federal level, this process is getting hastened, tremendously. It's getting accelerated. So quality by testing, the earlier approach was taking every step as the black box. You do not know what's happening at the back. You are keeping your fingers crossed, whether my product will be able to pass the test or not. While QBD is like a white box status, where each and every information you are uh, going through, you are certain of the outcome because it is you who have implemented this as a team. You have made the quality by a particular design, particular intent, particular planning, particular strategy. So it's and testing normally in QBT is necessary, while in QBD it's discretionary. Say, for example, bioavailability testing for a generic product in case of QBT was when it was happening, people were, keeping, you know, uh, restlessness during the night. It was a nightmarish kind of experience because people were skeptical. The scientists were skeptical whether my, bio study, which is very expensive, of the generic product will come out to be equivalent to that of the left-assisted product or not, because this is the ultimate test and very expensive test. While in case of QBT paradigms, you are not keeping your finger crossed. You're having a full night, a peaceful sleep, because it is you as a team member who have implemented QBT paradigms in a systematic, in a rational, in a scientific, and a risk-based manner. So QBT approach was taking testing as the major tool, while QBD approach is taking design, that's planning, as well as testing in a balanced manner. So QBT is like a chaotic traffic of our capital, New Delhi, while QBD is the traffic regulated like that of a city in California, that's Los Angeles, which I visited twice in 2004 and 2005. And QBD is like diving into ocean full of uncertainty. QBD is like driving on the ocean, on a well carved path with full certainty. QBD is like tip of the entire iceberg, while QBD is the entire iceberg, including the submerged portion and the tip together, taken together. QBT is like trying to fit one tire to all sizes, while QBD lets it happen. QBT banks upon knowledge, transfer, while QBD banks upon knowledge interchange, knowledge integration across the disciplines, across the scientists, across the companies, integration. So that's how QBD has taken out of uh, their the ivory towers. All the scientists and brainstorming takes place, while sitting uh, across the table, sitting next to each other. So QBR, question-based review, which has been very popular in the last couple of decades in the federal agencies. So any product which is to be filed, is question, because I keep telling my students that if a doctor commits the mistake, it is the life of that patient under peril, under risk. But if a pharmaceutical scientist, a responsible pharmaceutical scientist who's manufacturing or who's at the helm of the manufacturing of drug product makes a mistake, grievous mistake, it is the life of hundreds of thousands of the patients who are consuming its product is under peril. Whose job is more responsible? I leave it to your imagination. So QBR, question-based reviews, ensures that the pharmaceutical scientist understands the product and the process well. So that's what FDA wants, that the scientists should be able to understand. If anything goes haywire, anything goes out of track, how would they handle the situation? If they understand, they'll be able to handle it much better. So question-based review is done. And earlier, the approach, people used to be, very, very, casual and, very lackadaisical in their approach. While with the QBD in place, the question-based review has generated lot of fruition, lot of success in the product development. So earlier people didn't understand much. So whenever the question used to be asked by the federal reviewers, they used to tell, "Sir, my product is comparable to that of the reference product, this trade, and this trade." But whenever the question used to be asked, how did you make it? How did you arrive at this generic outcome? The question used to be left blank. That's what the federal reviewer has shared with me personally over certain
Hello,
conference.
sir. You're not audible.
Please. Hello. Am I audible?
Your voice is a little bit low.
No, sir, it is audible, sir. Just a little
No,
bit.
sir. You are audible, sir.
Audible?
Okay, sir. Now it is audible. Okay, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So QBD is in tandem with QBR. This is the FDA timeline, 2010, they issued this timeline for implementation of QBD, that by January 2013, every pharma company has to be QBD compliant. A lot of hue and cry was raised, but they maintained this stand. So January 2000, 1st January 2013 was a very historic date, after which every product entering US market has to be QBD compliant. Not only that, very soon, the CPMP guidelines, which are European guidelines, they also implemented QBD, and TGA, that's Australia, then MHRI, that's MHA, that's UK, and Envisa, that's South Africa. All these countries followed suit. Now, each and every product entering these regulated markets have to be QBD compliant. But the situation is still alarming in the developing countries, including ours, where the many of the medium-scale companies are still not, fully operational as far as QBD is concerned. This was the first product, Genovia, which was QBD compliant 2005 by Merck Shop and Baum. And since then, the number of filings and number of approvals have been constantly and exponentially increasing. This is probably one of the most important slides. That's a quality target product profile has to be, the target has to be the aim, and it would then embark upon selecting some of the quality traits which are called as critical quality attributes, CQAs, out of the quality target product profile. That is the profile which is to be matched of the reference listed product. You'll be selecting some of the critical quality attributes, which are the dependent parameters. Then you'll be selecting some of the critical material attributes and critical process parameters. This is the federal, terminology which is to be adopted, and you have to link these critical quality attributes with critical material attributes and critical process parameters. And based upon that understanding, you develop a flexible space, that's design space, within which a formulation can and is can behave and is expected to be. And the entire process from QTPP to design space is, enshrined as a strategy called as control strategy. This control strategy lets you go around the entire circle and leads to continuous improvement. So let's talk about QTPP, quality target product profile. So which is the first step, and which includes, what is the route of administration, what is the dosage form or delivery system, what is its dosage strength, what are the packaging containers, enclosures, and what are the drug delivery criteria, what are the of the marketed product, that's reference listed product, what are the pharmacokinetic parameters, etc., like dissolution, like drug release of the marketing product, like aerodynamics in inhalation system. So, for example, this is a QTPP of the tablet, and the CQA is taken out of the same. QTPP is dosage form, route of administration, strength, tablet weight, etc. Out of these, SA, you see, SA is at the ninth point, and then content uniformity is at the 11th point, and resolution at 13th point. So these 3 points have been taken up as CQAs, which are affecting the overall performance of the formulation. And one more, impurities, which is at the 10th point. You know, it's an area on which Professor Saranjit has been working. Impurity has been indicative of the safety of the toxicity. So clinical effectiveness and safety to be determined. These CQAs have been identified from the tablet QTPP. So what are critical quality attributes? Hurriedly defining. These could be physical, chemical, biological, microbiological properties that should range within certain range to ensure the product performance. What should be the criteria for selecting of the CQAs? Company profit? No. Operator safety? No. Environment safety? No. Only patient benefits. Patient benefits, patient benefits. Patient safety and efficacy. Critical material attributes and critical process parameters. So critical material attributes like the composition of the product, and critical process parameters like the manufacturing operator conditions like rotor speed, evaluation time. So QBD leads to variables like desired product performance, process design, etc., leading to product quality attributes, process parameters I have just shared, and leading further to product knowledge and process understanding, and finally leading to continuous improvement. So product and process understanding is the ultimate outcome. And if you cut this circle in two halves, you see the outcome is product and process understanding, which the FDA is always asking these days. And nothing to worry about. There are ICH guidances, Q8, Q9, Q10, Q11, Q12, and PAT, which have been released over the years to let the quality of the drug product be ensured. And all of these are QBD driven projects. And also very recently, almost 2018 onwards, September or October 2018 onwards, ICH have been working on Q13 and Q14 guidelines. Q13 is on analytical quality by design, and Q14 is on continuous manufacturing. Both of these are again, dependent upon QBD. Are these two guidelines are being worked upon by ICH group, but due to recent COVID lockdown era, their progress has been delayed. Maybe this year, very soon we may hear about the promulgation of ICH Q13 and Q14 guidelines for analytical development and continuous manufacturing, respectively, all being dependent upon QBD guidelines. So today, it's not the FDA or ICH which are implementing QBD guidelines, WHO, EMEA, that's Europe, MCC, that's South Africa, SFDA, that's China, Health Canada, Australia, PGA, MHRA, UK, PMDA, Japan, and many other countries, are implementing QBD guidelines. And let me share, very recently, 2018, 19, before the lockdown, a number of meetings were held by the federal agencies, drug regulatory agencies, and academics. There were 3 academic scientists who were included in that panel. It was late Professor Mukesh Gohil from Ahmedabad, me, and Professor Saranjit. And there were so many other drug regulatory scientists and scientists from industry. So who contemplated, who thrashed, and so many, amendments to Drugs and Cosmetics Act and Drugs and Cosmetics rules have been made to include some of the guidelines, if not a total, of the ICH and WHO in implementing drug product design, including some of the definition, some of the requirements of QBD. So in India too, QBD will be partly implemented. When QBD is talk of the town in 2014, we introduced another term that's called as formulation by design, which includes not only QBD enabled understanding, design of experiments, and the art and science of drug product development. It also involves quality risk management. So we explained this, we published this in 2012 in an expert opinion in drug delivery. And since then, there is no looking back. Every nook and corner across the world is using FBD as a standard acronym. After we, christened this term. So this is one instance of a prestigious consulting company in UK for Delta using formulation by design. Formulation by design is the best tool to match innovative products performance. So here is the target, and the OFAT technique would hit here and there. While formulation by design would always be hitting the target, the bullseye. And OFAT and FBD, formulation by design, tend to differ a lot. So FBD leads to best solution, systematic, robust, and holistic in the sense. So FBD looks into a drug product like a transfer function where X is getting converted into Y, while there are other variables which are called as uncontrollable variables, which are fixed at certain lengths. So if the outcome is highly predictable, it's called as white box. If the outcome is not at all predictable, it's called as black box. But while using the systematic approach, outcome is always white box or nearly white box. But using the traditional approach of OFAT or OVAT, it was always black box. So it tells you what's happening inside. Product and process understanding is diverse through formulation by design, but you have to understand some of the concepts. Uh, Variability. What is variability? What are factors? What are levels? What's design? How does software help you invariably? Although software is not mandatory, but invariably very, very useful. How do we carry out model diagnostics? For that, I can provide you with a number of literature reports which are highly priced by the respective publishing companies, but I, being the principal author, can provide Dr. Manoj with the copies of the same, which can be distributed across the participants. So objective is QTPP variables are CQAs and CMAs or CPPs, CQAs being the dependent variables, CMAs and CPPs being the independent. Levels, the values assigned to the factors that CMA and CPPs responses are CQAs. Experimental runs are the experiments designed on that basis. Factor space is the explorable space out of which you'll be, carving upon knowledge space, and out of which, you will be taking up the design space. So variables, I reiterate, are CQAs dependent and CMAs and CPPs independent. So variables should be control variables, that's influenceable, controllable, and measurable. These should be measurable, controllable, and influenceable. They should influence the CQAs. Coding is almost mandatory. So coding means, you will be assigning the low values as -1, high values as +1, intermediate values as zeros. Say in one of the cases in I think 2002 or 2003, we prepared the supersaturated systems. and we use poloxamer and PVP as the drug carriers, as the carrier, and the low values were designated as -1 of poloxamer and a high n of PVP, and high values were +1 and intermediate as zeros. So if the response variable or CQAs are, parallel at various levels, so it means, there is parallelism, indicates that there's no interaction. But this happens very, 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 very rarely. When this happens, OFAT will not be yielding any misleading results. OFAT will be as good as that of DOE. But this happens very, very, rarely, in blue moon, in very blue moon. Well, who knows it better than us? We have studied pharmacology, synergism, and antagonism. When the expected results is more than required or desired or expected, uh, literally by addition, it's called as synergism. When it's expected and you get much lower than that, it's called as antagonism. So surface plot or response surface plot, that's 3D plot, which is plotted between the CQA and two of the independent variables, that's CMA or CPPs, is the 3D response surface plot, 3D graphical representation. And it's a 2D slice, horizontal slice is called as contour plot. And this is how 5-step methodology of FPD is executed. In the first step, QTPP is defined and CQAs are demarcated. In the second step, CMAs and CPPs are prioritized, are selected through screening and risk assessment. And in the third step, using CMAs and CPPs and CQAs, you carry out the experimentation using the principles of DOE. And in the fourth step, you tend to carry out various modeling exercise, and you carry out validation, and eventually you bring out design spaces and control spaces within formulation space. And final step is carried out essentially in uh, the scale up region in the industry, where pilot plant scale up and production and commercialization would be carried out. And the first step, I've already shared, QTPP and CQS will be demarcated. The second step, CMNs and CPPs will be chosen amongst the highest priority variables. So for that, principle of factor sparsity, that's the also called as Pareto principle, will be adopted. Pareto principle is that 20% of the causes tend to cause 80% of the effects. 80% of the effects are due to 20% of the causes. 80% of the diseases are due to, 80% of the fatalities are due to 20% of the diseases. 80% of the products of a pharma company or any other company are consumed by 20% of the consumers. So 80% of the wealth of the world is owned by 20% of the rich. So Pareto principle holds good. So similarly, so 80% of the variability in pharma products is due to 20% of the variables. You have to identify those 20% of the variables which are causing 80% of the variability, and you have to ignore those 80% of the variables who are accounting for only 20% of the variability. This is Pareto principle. So that can happen only using factor screening and risk assessment. So you have so many possible material attributes and process parameters, and you tend to select only a few of them by factor screening and risk assessment. And it's just like separating rice from rice husk. And if an input variable is a factor, influential factor, you have been able to identify, it will lead to true optimal formulation, while a failure to do so would always be leading to your inability to find a good optimal formulation. So here, half normal plots. Half normal plots are the plots where you are able to identify which variables are actually influenceable. The variables which are falling on the line are amongst the common variables. The variables which are going across the line over here, like B, C, and BC. B is the variable B, C is variable C, BC is the interaction between B and C. So which is accounting for uh, the variability in these variables as the influential factors. So rest are uh, ignorable, can be discarded. So here is the Pareto charts. You see if the length of the bar is crossing p-value limit, it's influenceable. But if it is crossing Bonferroni limit, it's highly influenceable. You cannot afford to ignore these. So risk assessment is also another important element of prioritization. It lets you walk on the tightrope amongst the possible so many risks. And not only it trains you to walk on rope, it provides minimum dangers. Dangers are minimized. It provides you a cushioning effect. So here is the risk estimation matrix. So you see the green ones are just ignorable because they are, associated with low risk, while the red ones are associated with high risk. You must take them into account, while the white ones can be, considered depending upon the case. So there are approaches like FMEA, that's fill-in mode effect analysis, which is adopted in electronics and pharma and many other companies. Time does not permit me to go into the nitty-gritty, but you have to find out the exact information. As this dental surgeon is telling, your teeth look great, but it looks like that I need to extract your tongue first. So you have to extract the unwanted ones. Brainstorming is required for risk assessment across various scientists, maybe analytical scientists, maybe the formulation scientist, maybe the API scientist, maybe the QA scientist, QC scientist, DRA scientist, IPR scientist. So overall, so the FBD is applicable not merely till the commercial launch, even after that of commercial launch of a product. Lab scale, pilot scale, exhibit scale, filing, commercial launch, and post approval, FBD is applicable. So overall, if you look around, there are 4 steps: prioritization, then planning, experimental planning, then experimentation, and then the implementation. And then the third step is you carry out experimentation analysis using DOE. And for that, you need to implement experimental design. And for that you need to, you see, there is noise and there is some music simultaneously. Could you hear? Enjoy the music for a few seconds. हम तेरे बिन अब रह नहीं सकते, तेरे बिना क्या वजूद मेरा. And accompanying along with that was the noise. So you could not enjoy the music because the noise was accompanying. This is happening in day-to-day life. The desirable feature of signal to noise ratio, is accompanied with the noise as well. Signal to noise. So you have to maximize signal to noise ratio. Those who are from analysis, they understand it much better. And but it depends, what is signal and what is noise. For this guy, who is sitting in the park, music was signal. And while this lady who is sitting beside him and who has come out in the park after quarreling with her husband, music is a distraction. For her, music is a noise. So silence is a signal for her. So it depends what is signal, what is noise, but signal to noise decoupling and maximization is possible only using experimental design. So experimental designs are absolutely must. The power of experimental design, time does not permit me to go into details of experimental design, but power of experimental design is very, very important to understand. So to make it understand, let's see, this golfer has, I repeat, golfer has strike the golf ball. The golf ball is now searched, golf ball is here. Now spotting of the golf ball in the golf ground is possible looking into the radius of the ball and the length of the grass. If the diameter of the ball and the radius or diameter of the ball and the grass, uh, ratio is 1/2. That is, diameter is half and length of grass is double. Then only 15% possibility of the golfer is there to spot that ball. But if they are equal, 45%, and if the uh, grass is well mowed to half the length of the ball, then 96% possibility is there to spot that ball. So this is the beauty of signal to noise ratio in case of experimental design. So experimental designs could be screening design and response surface designs. These are some of the experimental design. I'll just name factorial design, composite design, box Menker design, simplex design, optimal design, fractional factorial, Taguchi, and Plackett-Burman design. The last four are preferred for screening, while the first are preferred for response surface. That's optimization. So this is how they are, diagrammatically represented. So you just see as the number of factors or CMAs or CPPs are increasing, number of experimental studies are exponentially increasing. For 7 factors, 128 studies are required. 128. Those who are from, pharmaceutics, or those who are from pharmaceutical technology, they understand better. 128 studies. Phenomenal. Where is the advantage of DOE? That is maximal information and minimal experimentation. यहाँ पे तो maximal experimentation होगी. So to avoid that, there is another approach which is called as central composite design. I am very fond of central composite design. So here are 4 factorial points. That's the axial points, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 are the central points, and 4 are the star points. 4 are the factorial points, the corners, the vertices, and 4 are the star points or axial points, and 5 are the central points. So 4 plus 5, 13 points are required for a 2-factor design. So there are many other designs. So Sonald Fisher, father of experimental designs, told that the simpler the design, better it is. And there are so many designs, you can choose either of them, as we can communicate with each other using any common language, maybe English, maybe Hindi, maybe, Punjabi or Sanskrit, whichever language both of us tend to understand. Similarly, one design is required, but each one has advantages, disadvantages. English has a distinct advantage over other languages because so much of scientific vocabulary across the world is available over here. So if I start searching for suitable vocabulary in Hindi or Sanskrit or Punjabi, it may not be possible to connect with you. So it's better to use English. Similarly, various designs have their advantages and disadvantages. Those who are interested, I'll pass on the articles to know it much better. And then you need to modelize that after adopting experimental design. Send for modelization and optimum search. you can adopt a graphical technique, a mathematical technique, or artificial neural networks. For a graphical technique, overlay plot is considered to be very popular, while for mathematical desirability function. And then you tend to develop that validation plots. Time does not permit me to go into the details, like those of residuals. Residuals means observed minus predicted. So it should remain within certain limit. It should not show any kind of patterns like B, C, and D. They are showing some kind of patterns. If there are patterns, something is not going, in a rational manner. It's something is going fishy. And sometimes you have to adopt more than one technique, like you adopted linear approach, and after reaching close, you adopted another linear approach. You miss the target, by a whisker. But if you adopt the non-linear approach, you do not miss the target. You hit the target. So there is explorable space. Then within that explorable space, you have to embark on knowledge, and then design space, and then control space. So a knowledge space is like region of operability, and design space is the region of interest. So within the design space, you can carve your own control space to remain within. But if you tend to come out of control space and remain within design space, nobody is going to challenge it and consider this as out of practice formulation. And uh, this is one simile that you have to remain within the control space, but you can come out of that in the picturesque lawns once in a while, but do not go beyond that. So you have to choose appropriate tools to search for design space, as this guy is doing. And finally, it is commercialization. And very important tips, to conclude, for scale-up studies, the equipment which is used should be kinematically and geometrically similar to that of equipment used in the commercialization. And you title the operating space to lead to control space. And within the control space, you have to normally make up. And there are three kinds of design space, lab scale, pilot scale, and commercial scale. So lab scale and pilot scale has no regulatory importance, but commercial scale design space has the best importance. But you cannot validate your design space at the commercial scale. You can, take up some studies. While you validate at lab and pilot scale, you can take up some studies at commercial scale, because otherwise it will be very expensive. So when you started, there was limited knowledge space, and there was large control space. When you ended, the knowledge space, the outer circle got augmented, while the design space remained same, and control space got narrowed down. So QTPP is the target well within the design space, and FPD is the vehicle. And there are various software which can come to your rescue: Design Expert, Minitab, DMP, that's SAS software, UMatrix, Mode, and so on and so forth. And finally, here is the best formulation. It's a time to, celebrate. This is the Punjabi style, bale bale, chak de fategi, like that. So let me, in the last few minutes, bring to some cautions. Agni is told pharma is in a worse position than it was in the last decade. Science is almost dead, nicely confined to, design space. Now, question arises: is design space the only objective and outcome of QBD exercise? No, it is the product and process understanding through science and risk-based QBD understanding. So Albert Einstein used to tell, any fool can know. Understanding is important. The point is to understand. So to make my point across, I have brought some TV clips.
He's going to order samosas. Samosa. I know your heart only too well, so I give Kellogg's heart-to-heart oats every day. He's going to put his arm around me. After all, who knows his heart better than me? Kellogg's heart-to-heart oats. Jack, lunch में घर आओगे बेटा? लाइब्रेरी जाना है। नहीं माँ, लाइब्रेरी जाना है। और डिनर? Group studies है माँ. चाय तो पीता जा बेटा. माँ तुम्हारी चाय.
So the point which I am going to make around by showing these two small clips is, in the first case, the lady understood her husband. Since she didn't merely know, but understood her husband, she was able to predict the next move that he is going to predict. He's going to choose the pink tie and samosas and put his arm around me when he's relaxed. And the mother was able to predict the next, answer which her son is going to, respond, because she understood her son. Perfect. So, my dear friends, where there is understanding, there is predictive, there is prediction, there is predictability. Understanding leads to predictability. That's what federal agencies want the pharmaceutical scientists to know, that using QBD, they should understand. If they understand their product and process better, so they'll be able to predict the next move, where this formulation is going towards, where this manufacturing process is leading to make the formulation. So understanding is far deeper, not merely knowledge. So knowledge is one aspect, but better predictability leads to uh, cause unearth the underlying cause. So prior understanding is through prior knowledge, prior publication, prior experience, prior patents. So product understanding, product knowledge, drug release kinetics, etc. Process understanding, process control, process capability. Time does not permit me. So it could be statistical quality control. Chemometrics can help, like principal component analysis, partially scarce, and drug release kinetics. Time does not permit me, so it tells you about diffusion controlled systems, or swelling controlled systems, or biodegradable systems, or erodible systems. IVAVC tells you about the correlatability between in vitro and in vivo relationships. So time does not permit. Again, software may help. And PAT studies may also help in product and process understanding. PAT always bank upon QBD. And continuous manufacturing always, which is the era of today. ICHQ 14 tends to deal with it. That also deals with QBD and PAT. This is out of our recent publication. You see, QBD-based drug delivery systems are implemented exponentially, and all nanospecific systems are implemented. And most important is FD, factorial design, and central composition. Now, question arises: is QBD an option, coercion, or benediction? The answer is today is a blessing. Neither an option nor a force, but a blessing. API development, development, and much beyond. And artificial intelligence, I'll bypass. So these are some of the companies we have trained, and these are some of the books. These are some of the tech transfers. The companies which have been trained beyond India, even beyond India, include these. And the guy who came to offer our collaborative hand from none other than Statis, that Dr. Pat Whitcomb, who then gave the Statis Pharma QBD Product Performance Award only to one scientist across the world. They have. I can feel so much of pleasure and pride and satisfaction. These are some of the FDA reviewers which we met, and Dr. Sarajit is also along with FDA person, Dr. Ajaz Hussain, who implemented QBD guidelines, is with us. And these are some of the awards and accolades. Recently, in 2019, China, Shanghai, the Outstanding QBD Scientist Award was bestowed upon me. These are some of the awards bestowed upon my students, particularly on QBD, American Association of Pharmaceutical Sciences, and then BEXI, and by Select Biosciences, and UIPS getting second rank in NIRF and we are maintaining that stand, and we are amongst the top institutes as far as research performance is concerned. We tend to emulate our great predecessors, Professor Kishan Singh ji, whom we lost 2 years back in 2020 March. And attitude determines altitude. We need to transform our attitude. A journey of 1,000 miles has to start with a single leap. Stands and stand matter a lot. Always keep smiling. चलता है attitude से चलना है attitude. जुगाड़ attitude से जुड़ैन attitude. We need to fly at wing pace and stand apart in the world of mediocres. Then the day is not very far when we can stand prominently on the world map. Jai Hind. And together everyone achieves more. This is my team. We work in synergistically relationship with Professor O.P. Katare of UIPS. This is my team of postdocs and research scholars and MPhil students. This is the Green Campus of Punjab University. Thank you so much for your patient listening. And I beg your pardon for going beyond the limits of time of 5-7 minutes. Thank you, Dr. Manoj. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Over to Shende sir.
Yes, sir. Any question, dear participants?
Yeah, I would love to answer any questions if time does permit. I think this is lunch time. Anybody can take the liberty.
Shall we proceed, sir?
Sir, please allow me to share my screen. Bhoop sir.
Anji. Okay.
Yeah, please take down your screen.
Okay. Stop here.
Yes, Shende sir, you could proceed now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Shende sir, please.
Thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us all the aspects of drug delivery optimization using modern and systematic quality by design paradigm. Through this session, you have elaborated how the QBD paradigm adopting systematic approaches for developing high quality pharmaceutical products for patients' benefit and to meet regulatory needs. You have also discussed the QBD does not just facilitate product and process understanding, it also increases regulatory flexibility for compliance, enabling faster approval of products. Your session was extremely informative, sir, and will incredibly useful for us. So on the behalf of entire team of Government College of Pharmacy Karad, I extend my sincere thanks to you for accepting as a speaker proposal and spending your valuable time with us. I also give thanks to Dr. M.H. Cherde sir, Program Coordinator, and Dr. K.B. Burade sir, Principal Government College of Pharmacy, made available such a renowned person as a facilitator. Now it's a time to felicitate. I would like to request Dr. K.B. Burade sir, Principal, Government College of Pharmacy, to present certificate to Dr. Bhupender Singh Bhoop for appreciation and as a token of love.
Thank you very much, sir.
Please accept, sir.
Yes.
So with this, by chair permission, I declare this session is concluded. Thank you all of you. So for further instruction, Dr. M.H. Cherde may proceed. Over to Cherde sir.
Thank you, Shende sir. Bhoop sir, thank you very much for your sparing time here. And
Thank
we
you.
are very glad.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Manoj Cherde and Dr. Kishore Burade, Dr. Shinde, for providing me this opportunity to interact with young faculty participants. And if any questions are there, because time did not permit you to extend the question hour session, so please pass it on at my WhatsApp, Dr. Cherde knows, or at my Gmail, I would respond to those queries, at my earliest convenience, certainly. So we are here to boost the knowledge, whatever we have got, experiential knowledge with the young participants, so that जोत से जोत जलाते चलो ज्ञान की गंगा बहाते चलो, that should be the objective for we are. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. You too. There are some instruction to the participants that you have to join by 2:30 for the online live examination in the form of quiz. So all should join at 2:30 sharp. Thank you.